This is Diana Sullivan in Austin, Texas. Today I'm going to show how to machine knit a mitered ribbing, that is ribbing that goes around a corner. In this example, which is an old vest I made some years ago, I knitted around this corner, then around here, and made another turn here and up here. So let's see how this is done. It's especially good for button bands. To do this technique, you're going to need ribber weights in a couple of sizes, and you're going to need the edge weight holders. I've got 2 of them here. They're sometimes called 7 weight holders because they're shaped like a 7. To demonstrate this technique, I'm using the bulky machine, and I've threaded it up with some worsted weight yarn so it'll be big and easy for you to see. On the main bed, I've used every other needle, and I've gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 needles. There's 5 empties in between. This is a 1x1 ribbing setup. On the ribber, I have 5 needles, and they're the in-between ones for the ribber. So there are a total of 11 needles. And I've cast on and I've done a number of rows in 1x1 ribbing. Now I need to set the carriages correctly for this to work. On the main carriage, you just slide this lever right here over so that it is on H. That will give you your short row setting so that it slips when you're holding some of the needles. It doesn't knit them, it just runs the yarn over and ignores them. On the ribber, it has a 1 and a 2 on the outside edge and a little metal lever, and you put that lever down on the 1. Now you have to do it on both sides. There's one over here too. Set that way, it will ignore the held needles. Now let's begin the actual turn. I've done a number of rows, a long piece of ribbing, but now I'm going to make the angle. I'm going to short row so that the left side is longer than the right side. To do that, I'm going to bring the needles out 1 by 1 into hold position, 1 needle each row. I'll start with the needle closest to the carriage, the far right needle, which is on the main bed, and I'll knit from right to left. Now I'm going to get the next rightmost needle, which is on the ribber, and knit from left to right. See how it ignored those? It knitted right over them. Now I'm going to pick up the next needle. I don't have to wrap because the yarn comes from under that next needle. But if I weren't going to put one more needle out of work, I would have to wrap under the last needle that I pulled out. Now it's time to use the 7 weight hanger, and what I need to do with this weight hanger is I need to exert some pressure on these stitches that are still in work. I'm going to take this hanger, bring it up between the 2 beds, and hang it on top of that group of stitches onto the zigzag between those stitches. And then I'm going to take a small ribber weight and hang it on there. This will help pull the stitches down so that they knit through properly. You always need a lot more weight for ribbing than you need for ordinary stockinette stitch. And knit to the left. Another needle into hold, knit to the right, and another needle into hold. Each time I'm on the right, I've decided I'm going to move my weight hanger up. So I pull it out, I've reached between the beds, pulled it out, and I'm going to set it where I want it to be. I've brought it up so that it's still exerting pressure on the needles that are now in work. Knit to the left, another needle out of work, knit to the right, another needle out of work, and I'm moving that weight hanger again, pulling it out, picking it up, and putting it higher. And knit to the left, another needle out of work, knit to the right, another needle out of work. I'm going to move my weight hanger once more, and then it's time for us to do increases. To do increases, I'm going to move this needle back into work by putting it halfway back. That's upper working position, and I knit to the left. Then I'm going to get this next one. I'll bring it down halfway, that's upper working position, and knit back. Now I'm going to move my weight because look, there's really not much pressure on that, and I want pressure on it. I want it pulled down all the time. I also have to wrap before I can do another decrease. I have to bring my yarn under this next needle and then push it back halfway. This way a hole does not form, and I knit over. When it's opposite the carriage, I don't have to wrap. I can just put the needle back halfway and knit across. Now I have to wrap again. I'm putting my yarn under and putting my needle back halfway. I'm also moving my weight hanger, pulling it up so there's still pressure on the stitches in work. I need to wrap again and put that halfway back in work. I need to move my weight hanger again. Keep a little pressure on those. Increase on the ribber. Go back. I'm going to increase on the main bed. Now at this point, what I'd like to do is have weight exerting pressure on all the stitches all the way across. And to do that, I'm going to put this in and scooch it over as much as I can. I'm going to take my other weight hanger, bring it in from the other side, and get it in as much as I can. I'm also going to reach between the beds and put a small weight on it. At this point, I do have a lot of weight on this knitting. All the stitches are in work, so I'm just going to knit some rows and then take it off and show you what we have. Now normally I would bind this off, but I'm going to just drop it off and show it to you. After taking all the hardware off, here's what we have. Look at this terrific looking bend in the ribbing. This looks good on both sides because I was careful to wrap. So either side could be the right side. Think of all the things you could do with that. It's kind of a picture frame effect. You could go around a blanket. You can use it for a button band. You can go from the button band part that runs where the buttons are up around the neck this way, or you can go around the hem this way. Try it. This is an easy little technique, and it may be the first time you've ever short rowed using your ribber.